Oh, okay. So, hey guys, I am here today with a very exciting person. This is Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
So Laura is really someone who's going to be great to talk to because number one, she's a creative, and I really love talking about people who are creative, who are artistic, and who are making their way career-wise in that area. But also when we found each other, she already had 10 years experience. She was super successful by most people's definitions, even by her own definition. She's in a difficult industry. She's in the film industry, which you guys know is very competitive. And she was a production designer. And but there were things that she was starting to want to change about her career. So I will give it over to you, Laura. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about where are you located, where do you live, and what was your life, when we found each other?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Dahlia said, I work in the film industry. I live in Brooklyn and work predominantly in New York City as a production designer. I had been in the industry and I moved up quite fast from assisting to designing and have designed 12 feature films and worked on multiple national television spots and really hit a good stride, but it was definitely a plateau and things really sort of leveled out. And I started to question what my next steps were going to be to either excel even further in the film industry or the scary step of what would be next and what other options I might have that my skill sets would translate to. And that's sort of where I started searching for a coach and found Dahlia. And we started this journey together. So that's a little bit about me.
So why don't you tell us more about this plateau? How exactly did you know that you were at a plateau? What were the kind of symptoms or signs, and how long were you in that plateau for, would you say?
I had sort of set some goals for myself about the type of projects and the scale of projects I wanted, and was really clear with her. And she really didn't feel like she could make that happen. And I wasn't excited to try and find a new agent. And I really wanted to switch from less feature-length films to more commercial work for better money and shorter-term projects, more travel. And I just couldn't bring myself to find the agent that was the right fit. And that made me really question, okay, if I'm not excited to do this anymore, if I don't want to get up and do what I need to do to be successful, what do I want to get up to do? What's more, what if everybody wants to be excited about life? And I tell people, and everybody was sort of shocked because, in everybody else's eyes, I was doing really well. And that made it even more challenging to make these steps and choices because everybody was like, why? You're at a perfect level in your career. Just keep going. The next big opportunity is right around the corner. And maybe it was, but I realized it wasn't what was going to make me happy anymore. So, yeah.
I think one thing that you mentioned, which is really key, is excitement levels. Like, it is a warning sign when you're not feeling excited, when you're getting through the day, when you're just, even if it's an amazing opportunity or even if it's good pay or even whatever it is, if you're if you're no longer feeling as excited about your life, like that is a big warning sign. And I think it becomes so normalized. And I don't know, you can tell us, I don't know if this was the case for you, but probably in the beginning, you were very excited about those opportunities. And that's why you were able to notice as the excitement level was going down. I don't know if that might be something that happened.
Yeah. And it used to be like a big flag was when the things that used to excite me and the challenges used to excite me now just became frustrating and almost a tiny bit of bitterness. Like, why isn't there enough money to do this project right? Like, I don't need to kill myself for your dream. I don't need to work these extra hours that just aren't necessary. And in the beginning, when I was proving myself, or I was like, I'm so grateful to have made it in this industry, or this director is a famous director and I should be so lucky to be here. And then it was like, wait, but this is my job. I'm being paid to do this. I should have the resources I need to do my job. It shouldn't come from me working so hard. And when I started to feel that tiny bit of bitterness or like resentment, then also it was like, I've got to step back and figure out how to either get excited about this and find opportunities that do excite me, or look at what else is available.
Yeah, no, it's really good that you had that kind of click where you realized you were losing the excitement. And because I talk to a lot of people where they've actually never really really been excited about their job. Like they've never had a job they love. And
Yeah.
so sometimes they don't even notice that
Yeah.
lack of excitement is a sign, like that it doesn't have to be that way. So many people think that that's just normal and, you know, well, at least there's this, at least there's that. And they've never actually been in a position where they're excited about their day-to-day or about the job that they're doing. It's just work. And sometimes they don't even realize that there's a different version of themselves out there who's happier and more illuminated and more, you know, all these things.
Yeah, because I think we are excited for challenges and we are excited to learn. And I think we spend so much of our time and of our life, our jobs, that you would want that to be fulfilling in some positive challenge and not just dreaded.
Yeah, and so tell us a bit more about, because you were also a freelancer, which I think is an interesting point, because I know there are people, you know, there are people out there who their ideal is to have the stability of maybe, you know, a longer term job, and then there are other people who are just wanting to get out of that and become freelancers and don't know how to do that. So for you, what were the things about freelancing that you wanted to change, that you weren't happy with anymore?
Yeah, so I mean, freelance is really definitely appealing, and I think a lot of people actually want to become freelance. I think a lot of your clients might actually go the opposite way, but for me, I was getting drained by the instability. I was finding it, even at a super high level, there were windows of time between projects that I would be really hard on myself that I wasn't working, and it was becoming harder and harder to get excited about those downtimes and use that time wisely. And I just felt like with my personality and having something routine might actually be a really big benefit. And having that stability might take some of that pressure off of me that I had on myself for the last 10 years. And another thing, and I think we probably talked about this, but I also was really struggling to find role models in the industry. I was really struggling to find people my age or older that I was like, that's the life I want to live. Like I'm inspired by them and what they've been able to do. Instead, I was surrounded by a lot of people that had really kind of sad lives and were really challenged and unhappy. And I just was feeling like if I can't look up to somebody and see somebody in this freelance industry that's really inspiring to me, then I should look elsewhere and see who is inspiring me right now.
Oh, that's very interesting. When you see like the path to come and you see the people who have, you know, lost their excitement, gotten cynical, and, you know, when you see those people, you're usually not at that stage yet, right? Like you're still sort of young, or you're still, you know, but you can start seeing those signs. And, you know, that's very interesting when you can see the people at the other end of that and you realize, oh, if I don't make a change now, this is what happens in the future, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, it's obviously not for everyone, but some of the people that were closer to me and the people that I was working with, and I saw that. And so, yeah. And
it doesn't mean that it's freelancers that happens to, or people in the movie industry. It's more about if you don't figure out your own path and what is right for you and follow that, then that's what happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about what you wanted. Like, what was kind of your dream, or, you know, when you imagined yourself in the ideal career, what was that? Because I know this is also interesting because you didn't have something specific. So you knew that there were things you were no longer happy with, but on the other hand, it's not like you had something concrete to actually aim towards, right?
No, and that was the scariest step. And what took the longest figure out, I actually really felt like, and it was crazy, but in the beginning, I felt need and TV that there were no other job options for me. Like that was the sort of mindset that I had. I was like, I'm not good at anything else but film. These crazy skills, I've built a time machine, but how do you get a job? You don't put that on your resume, you know? But through the process of working with you, I really started to see some of the areas that I loved, which were more managing and leading and the creatives and the ideas and ideation of ideas. Knew that I wanted something more stable. I knew I wanted to be in a small company because I do love business, to be able to have growth of that. I didn't want to be locked into just one title. And so I honestly just searched online, found the position that I'm currently at. So
this was a crazy thing that happened as well, because you went from, I know that I'm not satisfied anymore, I know I want a change, to actually, like, we did the process together, and then what was great was you pinpointed, you said, this is the type of job that I want. And then after that, the next week, you found the job. This was a weird thing. It was like you saw, because you didn't even know if it would exist, right? And one thing I'm always going on about is knowing your mission, not just having a job, but actually knowing, like, what is the change you want to see in the world? What is your purpose in your day-to-day, right? Not just, let's find the right salary and let's find this and that. All of that is great, but first you need to know your mission, right? And so you figured out your mission, you figured out as well everything you wanted around that in terms of lifestyle, and then the next week you saw this job opening, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was trying to tell you, don't get too excited about that one job opening. There are other options, and you were going, no, I only see this one job. This is the ideal. This is the one.
Yeah, and it really was. I mean, it really was like too perfect in the sense that it was a really small company founded by a female with the mission to support other female businesses. And so what I was getting is I was not only getting a job that I felt like there was room for me to learn and grow in, but I was going to be at a company that I felt like was giving back. And that was something that I did not feel like I was getting in the film industry. So the film industry seems super creative and it seems like you'd have all this control, but in reality, I was just taking any project to make sure my bills were paid and didn't have the choice to work on good projects necessarily. And that was exhausting because of how hard the industry is to be working those long hours and that kind of challenging pace. To feel like you weren't giving something back and doing something good for the world was draining. And I got really excited about the mission of this company, and I got really excited about the people that were working there, and felt like, okay, there is something out there where I can kind of do both. So.
And in that, there's so many points here to cover, but in that, I think one important thing to mention is that the company, it appeared like you found that role after you knew what you wanted. So it's not like you can't, a lot of people, they go, oh, I think I'm not really happy at my job anymore. So they go online, they start looking at job boards, and they start going, I think, that women's empowerment, I think that's something I would like to do. Or I think that's what as opposed to, going inside yourself, really getting clear on what do you want? What is your purpose? Because we can't work on everything, right? So what's going to be your contribution? And then that is where you start finding those perfect fits. It's not you trying to fit yourself into the boxes. Like, the box will open when you know what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, I completely. And it wasn't just a company I was excited about. It had a job opening in the job title that I was actually looking at. And it was appealing for multiple reasons. And it did, like, I knew what I wanted now. And that's, I think, what made it possible to find that.
Yeah, and then the next step, right? Once you knew what you wanted in terms of your career transition was, you got all that great clarity, you knew what you wanted, and then it was, but how on earth am I going to compete against other people who already have that experience? I'm starting at zero, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we need to make sure we don't lose the 10 years experience you already have and have you going in at entry level.
Yeah. And I think that's what took, really a lot of time. And I got clarity on what my strengths were and what my values were and what I could bring to the table. And, in thinking about how demanding the film industry is, I realized that I could do and offer a lot. I'm often in the film industry hiring and making decisions really fast and doing presentations and communicating complicated ideas to multiple teams. And that's what a role of a project manager is. And so I could really describe how what I had learned and used for 10 years was going to position myself better than somebody just out of school who doesn't have that experience that I have. So even though it was a different title, the skill sets really translated well.
Yeah, and so there was the getting clarity on, number one, even before getting clarity, was deciding that even though there are a lot of great things about your job, which was also an obstacle, right? Because it's one thing if everyone says you're lucky to have what you have, but you're totally tired of it, but there are a lot of creative aspects of your job that you loved, and you didn't feel like 100% you wanted to give it all up either. So it was all this kind of back and forth, which normally keeps people stuck where they are, right? So it was number one, saying, no, I am going to aim for my highest possible excitement and happiness and my highest possible version of myself. So number one was that decision, which believe me, is such a difficult decision to take. Like,
Yeah.
that is not a decision anyone takes lightly. And then number one, you made that decision. Then you went for the clarity of, okay, what am I going to do instead, right? And then number three was where you actually went in and, you know, got the clarity, found the position, and then it was communicating that you're the right person. So the strengths, you know, getting clear on that. But then how do you actually prove to someone, right, when they have other candidates who have already that exact job title? How do you, even if you say, yeah, these skills definitely translate, I know it was a challenge, and it always is a challenge, proving that to, you know, to the people who you need to prove it to, that indeed these skills are transferable.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was like one more little mini step that I think is important, and that is, you know, just putting yourself out there and making those connections. You know, it's that word networking that nobody likes to use, but is so, so important, because what ended up happening, it wasn't a straight path. It wasn't like I called and applied and got the job. And so it's like, you don't know when you get excited about an idea, you don't know when those other little mini steps are going to connect the dots for you. But
yeah, there's so many dots to be connected.
Yeah, but getting out there and talking about the things that excite you and talking about the people that excite you, and like putting yourself sort of in that pathway for those chance opportunities is so valuable and so important. And I don't think I realized that, but I wouldn't have gotten this job, I don't think, had I not really put myself out there.
And how can you put yourself out there when you haven't gotten decisive, you don't know your mission, you don't know exactly what you want to do, you're not sure what your skill, you know, it's so many different pieces that actually have to come together to get to the outcome.
Yeah.
And tell us more about your mission itself, because I think this is really interesting. Like, because you went through the process, you said, I want to be in a company that helps women, that empowers women. How did you decide that that was going to be your mission?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It just became really, I don't even remember the exact click where that became what I wanted, but what I knew is I started to see where my skills could be really useful. And so the job I'm at is at a creative agency. And so they still do productions. It's still project-based. So even though I'm at a company, there still is some rhythm where the familiarity for me, where it's project-based. I get to lead creative and work on production sets. The project I'm on right now is a swimwear company that's going to shoot in the Bahamas. So I'm still traveling. So it was really looking at companies that were going to offer that, but also had something to give back more than just creating commercials. So I don't know what the exact click was, but it was a process of just knowing I wanted more and could find something.
Did you say you're traveling to the Bahamas? Oh my goodness, this is incredible. I want this job.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, so what I love is how it's a total career transition. You have a completely new role, new job title, but it brings in so much of what you were doing before.
Yes. Yeah.
So nothing is given up. You know, those 10 years, it's not like you're starting from scratch. You're building, even though it's something totally different, you're building.
Absolutely.
So what is next for you?
So I am really happy here and challenged, and I am going to work here until I figure out what maybe a next step is. I'm already seeing that, you know, we talked about up-leveling in through this coaching, and I could see myself finding a bigger company or even stepping up to more of a role with. I think that there is a lot of opportunity for growth here, and I am much more open to stepping back and figuring what that is.
What do you think has changed about you, Laura, now compared to before? Like, what's changed about you as a person?
I definitely have a much clearer understanding of the values that I can bring and what I can provide and my worth, which makes it really exciting for me to fully understand that I can do and whatever I set my mind to. I can really look, if there's another company that comes up, if there's another job opportunity, I think that I really believe that I can set the path and take the steps that I need to get there. Not that it's easy, not that it's straightforward, but that I have the skills and the tools to kind of make those choices and decide and figure out how to get what I want. And that's, I think, a really different mindset than I was in when I started. A lot of the exercises that I have learned through this coaching program, and just having the perspective and knowing that if I was going to go to another company, I could, and I knew that I valued myself and that I would find other opportunities. And I think that like willingness to just be grateful and continue on this path, whatever it was going to be, made a really big impact.
This is what I want everyone who goes through the program to get, which is career freedom. And that's what career freedom is. It means you decide, you know how to choose, you know what's right for you, you can choose it, and you can make it happen.
Yeah, but it's helped strengthen my communication with my employees and my boss, and it's helped to just really facilitate the type of growth I want even within the company. So, yeah.
And so what is your advice for someone who is in a similar situation to the one you were in? So whether they're a freelancer who's thinking, oh, I'd like more stability, or whether it's someone who's just confused about what they want to do, or, you know, they have experience already and they're feeling like, oh, I don't want to give up everything I've already built. Maybe I should be happy with what I have. Like, what would you tell someone in that position? Because there are a lot of people, a lot of us out there who are facing that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is carving the time out of your life to really ask yourself the hard questions and really think about them, and spend time finding what makes you excited, and know that it's going to be hard, but rewards are so much worth the risk. And that when you make your mind up about something, it's going to feel really good. Even the challenges are going to feel really, really good because you're making headway towards something better.
Why are you happy that you decided to do that when you did, as opposed to, you know, just kind of going with the flow and going, oh, I'm too busy right now, because you were very, very busy. So why are you happy you made the decision then, as opposed to going, you know, I'm too busy now, I'll figure it out later.
Because there's always going to be a later. I don't think there's ever the right time. It's like, again, like you just have to make that choice that you're going to commit to it. And even if you get too busy, you can come back to it, or, you know, but starting, if you don't make those first steps forward, I think that's the hardest thing, is committing to making those few first steps. And then once you start to dive into, you know, what your possible options are, that becomes exciting, and you start to realize that doors will open. Maybe not exactly when you want, or the path changes, definitely. Like, I think when we started, I wouldn't have imagined that this would be the end result, but having that openness to really explore and let yourself find what that might be.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because so often we feel like we need to see the future in order to embark on that future. Like, if we can't, it's fear, right? If you don't see exactly, that's why people will stay in the same house their whole life, or they'll stay in the same job their whole life, or not because they love it, but because that's what they know. And so we always want to stay right with what's familiar.
Yep.
And oftentimes we know we want something different, but if we can't see the exact steps,
Yep.
then we don't go for it. And I wonder if that's also why applications are comforting in a way. Like, you go on the job board, you see the job postings, you apply, and you just wait and see what happens, right? And it's different when you start taking charge, and you're really not, you stop being afraid of the unknown. You just set your goal and set your target, and you kind of go a little bit. That's when the pieces can really align. You know, you're doing the work, but it's not always going to be something familiar, and things don't happen. They don't unfold in an easy way or in a perfect way, and all these kinds of things. But if you're up for that, and you're up for not being able to see the exact path, then you'll end up like way further ahead than anyone else who just wants to stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah. And I mean, it's exactly that. I knew film was always going to be there. And I knew that I probably could make some changes to even push my career further there. But if I started making these steps and started opening these other doors to what is possible there, and just started to dream, you know, that was where things started to get really exciting. And I knew, okay, I don't know what this is yet, but if I just keep taking these steps, something is going to come up, something is going to click. I'm going to find someone that is really inspiring in some job that I was like, okay, I could do that, you know? And yeah, so start, take the first step.
And then the one other question, because I know this was part of the whole reasoning of moving a bit away from the freelancing, was your family life, right?
Yes.
So how has this impacted your relationships with, you know, friends, but also your family situation?
Yeah, it's really positive. They just rolled out, it's amazing for the United States. Other countries, it's not as amazing, but this company actually just rolled out a parental leave program of 6 months, which most companies in the United States give 6 weeks, which is so sad. So it was just International Women's Day, and they announced this for that, saying even small companies can really make a difference, and that work-life balance is really important. And that's exactly what I was sort of searching for. You know, I've been able to get up in the morning and go to exercise class, go to work, and still make it to a movie date night with my husband. And in the film industry, I was working 16, 18-hour days, and film was my life. So I am really, really, really happy about this balance and that opportunity.
That's incredible, because I know you've also been working really hard in the job. So it's this thing of, yeah, you work hard and you're excited about the challenge and you give it everything, but you still balance that off with being able to exercise, being able to spend time with your spouse, you know, all the important things in life, essentially.
Exactly. And that was really important to me. So yeah.
Super excited for Laura and the new life that she's living, and our connection just died, so I'm just going to wrap up here, but I wanted to say really, really huge congratulations to Laura for all of the challenges that she's gone through, the way that she's changed her life, taken that decision to change her life. So amazing. And also thank you, Laura, for coming on here and sharing with all of us your story, because it can be so valuable to hear what other people have accomplished, just to know that that's possible. And I know, I mean, we talk to people every single day who are facing a lot of the things that she was facing before, you know, the confusion about what to do and that kind of haze and that fog, and then ideas that maybe things could be different, but the uncertainty of it all. So I hope that this has been valuable for some of you. Let us know in the comments, like, what is it that you're facing? What are the things that Laura mentioned that you're struggling with right now? What is your own situation, and what are the parallels between you guys? I think that would be really, really interesting to see those parallels, see where you guys are at right now. And if you're ready to actually get help with this and start changing that and start having that career freedom that Laura was talking about, that freedom to know that you can do whatever it is you want to do with your life, then don't wait. Book a call now with us. It's called a career roadmap session. It's the same one that Laura booked. It's free. And what's going to happen is you're going to get on approximately a 1-hour phone call with one of our coaches. They're going to guide you through getting clear on what is not working for you in your life, in your career right now. And we're going to see what you need to do in order to change that. Like, what are those specific things? So the link for that is accelerateYourAmbitions.com/apply. And that's going to take you directly to my team's calendar. You can grab whatever slot works best for you. And then after that, you're going to have a really short questionnaire to fill out. So fill that in really quickly, and we're going to be on a call at the time that you choose, and we're going to get ready to change your life. So if that's you, book your slots. They tend to fill up pretty quickly, but if you cannot find one, make sure to send me an email, dalia@accelerateYourAmbitions.com, and we'll see what we can do to get you on the waiting list to get one of those sessions. So yes, go ahead, grab a slot. It's accelerateYourAmbitions.com/apply. That's for our calendar, for the career roadmap session, and looking forward to your comments, to seeing what those parallels are in terms of your situation right now and all the things that we just talked about with Laura. Thank you once again to Laura for coming on here. I'm so excited for her and can't wait to see what she does next, because this is just the beginning. It's not the end. This is the beginning of the rest of her life and the rest of that new career freedom. So really excited to see what she decides to do with it. Okay, guys, looking forward to your comments, looking forward to your roadmap sessions, and we will speak soon. Bye.